Maruti Suzuki's People Technology presents Suzuki Connect with Navigate to Car and many other features.
Watch more, feel more. Dell.
Well, this Sunday is going to put our attention to Group 2 after what we had on Saturday, where Group 1 gave us an indication of where it's heading, and it was heading with England with one foot in the semi-finals and maybe a bit of a fight between Australia and South Africa, possibly Sri Lanka, for that second spot. All that is now aside. Afghanistan take on Namibia first up in what surely is the appetizer of the evening, with due respect to Mohammad Nabi and Herar Erasmus' side, because India New Zealand couldn't be of greater significance in terms of where this group lies. After Pakistan have made light work of India as well as New Zealand and Afghanistan, standing solidly there too in this group. Namibia are in a pretty place. Imagine if they are to beat Afghanistan and even momentarily step into the semi-final spots of this World Cup. What that would do for Namibian cricket would be extraordinary, and they've already had quite the story. This is Maruti Suzuki Presents ESPN Cricket for T20 Timeout, powered by Dell. Peter Borren's with us. He's been following this Namibian story as the former Dutch captain, and it's a very good afternoon to Ajit Agarkar as well, who I'm sure is anticipating a long day, perhaps, with India and New Zealand, as we can possibly
They're all
imagine.
long days, Ronak. They're all long days.
Yeah, I mean, we don't mind a bit of a break. Maybe Ajit and me will pop over to Amsterdam and join you, Peter, for a week after all this cricket is done. But it's a toss that's gone Afghanistan's way. And I was wondering after the last game, Ajit, if they would move from this template that they have. They like to bat first, unlike what a lot of teams like to do in this tournament. They fell short in that thrilling game against Pakistan. That doesn't change what Mohammad Nabi wants to do. They want to stick to what they know.
Yeah, I think that's not a bad thing either. It's a long game, so the dew is not going to affect their bowling. They perhaps trust their bowling a little bit more than what they do with their batting. Batting, they're a little bit, they try and go all out when they bat. They might have to change that approach a little bit. So they perhaps think that their bowling can defend whatever their batters can put up, and with they've got good reason for it as well. They've got some match-winning bowlers in that to make life difficult, particularly through the middle of that innings, and they've got a Rashid Khan who's their trump card. So why try and change what has generally worked for you?
Yeah, one of those match-winning bowlers, spinners, which you'd think a team like Namibia wouldn't be well versed with, isn't playing though. No Mujib is confirmed by Mohammad Nabi at the toss, Peter, and Mujib is the one who caused Scotland all sorts of problems. So Namibia wouldn't mind that.
No, they'll probably be ecstatic about that. If we saw how the Scots played Mujib, and also the Pakistanis, you'd have to say he's been fantastic with that new ball, bowling 4 overs on the trot up front, and obviously attacking the stumps, both right-handers and left-handers. They would have done a lot of homework on that, Namibia, and they'll be relieved. And saying that, obviously, the man, an awful lot of experience, but that'll be, one would think, something that Namibia would be a little bit more comfortable with, facing Hassam the seamer rather than Mujib, the mystery spinner.
Yeah, we remember a bit of Hamid Hassan, don't we? If you watch enough of Afghanistan cricket, he wears all the gadgets. He wears the headband. He puts the stickers on. I don't know if he's still got all of that, but he wears his heart on his sleeve. He's one of those. Now, Namibia have been very good, Peter. They had a soft beginning against Sri Lanka. Since then, they've been outstanding. Excellent against Scotland. This is where it gets tough, though, you think. What would a win today do for them?
Well, a win would be an incredible effort. It would take an awful lot of things to go their way. I think Namibia so far, with all due respect, have been a steady team. They're a very disciplined team. And their wins against Ireland and the Netherlands and Scotland, they haven't really blown those teams away, but they've done it with discipline. Now, today, we're going to have to see a little bit more X factor from them, because it's a tough opposition, of course, with the Afghanis. And I must say, with the Afghani batting lineup, we always look at Zazai and Shahzad up front, who are going to come hard, and Trumpelman's going to have to step up as he did against Scotland. They're going to need early wickets here today, Namibia, and because they've got a steady bowling attack, Namibia, but it's not one through the middle. They don't have outright pace through the middle, and they don't have. They've got obviously Bernard Scholz bowling left arm spin, but it's steady. It's not. And if you don't get early wickets against Afghanistan, as Ajit said, they're going to just keep coming hard. And if you look at that, if they even when they do, I think the batting depth of Afghanistan is something which is underestimated. We always look at the three spinners, perhaps, but after Zaza and Shazad, you've got who I've been very impressed with. It's Gurbaz, and then one of probably my favourite players who I fortunate to play against, but also love watching him is obviously Najibullah Zadran. So, and of course, you've got down the order who did well against Pakistan. You've still got Nabi and you've got Gulbadin who made runs against Pakistan when they were 50 for 6 or whatever to get a competitive total there. So they do actually bat a bit deeper than you think. You need those early wickets though, because otherwise they're just going to come hard for 20 overs. And if they do that, then they'll be looking at scoring that 190 that they made against Scotland the other day.
We were wondering what to expect from Afghanistan this World Cup, Ajit. They were good in the warm-up against West Indies, beat them, great against Pakistan, even though they're not on the right side. In this group, with what is sort of going on, we're looking at India and New Zealand, almost assuming one of these two teams will join Pakistan. Afghanistan, if they just keep picking up these wins, make sure they don't drop points elsewhere, they put themselves in a nice little position. If they nick one game, either against New Zealand or against India, you never know. With that high net run rate after the Scotland win, are they serious contenders for you?
Without a doubt. I think, yeah, we would think Pakistan, New Zealand, and India, for obvious reasons, are the three sort of top teams in that group. But when Afghanistan, if they manage to win today, they go second, and even whoever between India and New Zealand wins still stays at the third spot or even the fourth spot. So then they just need to have a good day against India or New Zealand. Uh, Anything's possible. And they've got the bowling. That's always a dangerous thing with any team, because if they've got the bowling, they get the conditions right. We've seen conditions change a little bit. Sharjah is completely different. Uh, they- they've got, like Peter just said, they've got enough in their batting. If they can
Yeah.
put it all together, they can be a dangerous team. So I don't think you can discount them at all. First things first, they'll have to get a win today, because Namibia are quite organized, and they'll have to play well to beat them.
Yeah, I like what you say there. Organized is a good word. We said that about England's bowling attack yesterday. Namibia too, Ajit. Not a lot of teams boast of three left-arm seamers. They've got three of them. They don't really give you a lot to play with. Fryling was excellent last game. Trumpelman's been great. So you have David Wieser's experience too. Is Afghanistan's high risk, high reward approach the way to go today, or would they be more prudent to be a little more circumspect?
I mean, look, in all likelihood, Abu Dhabi pitch is going to be a good one. So, but you still want to have a look. These are good bowlers because they're organized. I think it could, and if they get it right, they stick to their plan. And sometimes when you have a little bit of limitations as a team, you want to have your plans in good order, which they seem to, and they try and stick to it. And if Afghanistan try and go too hard, lose a couple of early wickets, could play into their hands, because I don't think their Namibia's plans are going to change too much, and they're quite consistent with what they do on the field. So um, if I was in the Afghan camp, I'd be a little bit more watchful, because they've got enough firepower in their batting that if they don't lose too many early wickets, they'll get to a good score, which they'll be quite happy to defend. So uh, whilst it has worked at times for them, a little bit of being a little bit circumspect might actually work in this game.
Well, Peter mentioned a number of key Afghanistan players when he was just talking about them a little while back. One of them is, of course, Asghar Afghan. He seems to be synonymous with the growth of Afghanistan cricket over the years. One looked at it as the elder statesman, and we're just going to just have a look at the achievement today for Asghar Afghan. He has, of course, announced that this could be time for him, and there is a tweet congratulating him as well from the Afghan cricket board. That's where Asghar Afghan's international record stands at, and of course instrumental in getting Afghanistan to the highest stage when they made their appearance in their 2015 50 over World Cup, and that is how Afghanistan Cricket Board have acknowledged Asghar Afghan's recent decision. Highest winning streak as captain in T20Is, and also he's decided to bid farewell with all formats of cricket in Afghanistan's third match against Namibia at the T20 World Cup. Now it's interesting; it's a mid-tournament retirement announcement. I don't know what you'd make of that, Peter, but Asghar Afghan will be looked back fondly, I guess, from Afghan cricket fans as to what he's done.
Yeah, I mean, he's been a big part of this journey, as you said. I mean, it's been 12-year incredible journey, and he's been a big part of that. Mid-tournament retirement, I'm not sure what you can make of that. He's one of the ex-captains in the team. There seems to be a few of them.
Yeah.
We'd have to. I wouldn't. I'm not in the know necessarily in Afghanistan cricket, but Ashkar, he's always been a fighter, and today he'll be looking to bow out against Namibia. It is an interesting option, but they've got plenty of young batters, so it's not necessarily the worst thing for Afghanistan cricket. I mean, he's probably had his go, and he'll be looking to he'll bomb sixes, and I'm sure today he'll be looking to do that to finish off.
Yeah, I mean, if Rahmanullah Gurbaz is evidence to go by, there seems to be plenty of talent from young Afghan batters. So I don't know who else is sitting on the bench who would likely take his place. But perhaps this is just the way to go. It's a mid-tournament retirement, which is odd. But, these things, you can almost read between the lines on them, Ajit.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, retirement it is a bit odd. You'd rather finish the tournament, even if you don't end up playing. Maybe if they prefer somebody else, that's the way it is. Sometimes you got to do what is best for the team. So not a big fan of people getting picked and then announcing their retirements midway through the tournament. But we don't quite know what the inside story sometimes is in the dressing room. We've all been in dressing rooms, and sometimes the truth is a little bit different. What he's done though, he's been a great servant for Afghanistan cricket. From where they have since they entered the international arena to where they are now, we're talking about them being a real possibility or real threat, qualifying for the semi-finals, and been a big part of it.
Yeah, and you think that the captain of Afghanistan, would mean more than just the captain of any other team with what they've been through and whatnot. And their rise has been almost meteoric, Peter. You would have followed how quickly Afghanistan got where they have. There'd be a lot of other associate nations thinking, we've been around the circuit a bit longer, and these guys, well, they've been through full credit to them. They've got there. The captains of Afghanistan need to be more than just tactically sharp cricketers, don't they?
Yeah, I think it's not an enviable task. Goodness gracious, it's hard to even describe the sort of passion that their cricket supporters have for cricket. It's a little bit like all the subcontinental teams that and the pressure that they come under. It would be a tough job, and not, as I say, not one that you would take on lightly. And they do not mind changing their captains. But he's actually a pretty steady force, and was captain for quite a lot of his career. It must be a tough job, and it would take it out of you. I aged quite a lot as captain of the Netherlands for 10 years. I can't imagine captaining Afghanistan for 2 or 3 years would probably. I'd look even older than I do now. Yeah.
Yeah, I know. I mean, look at Rashid Khan suddenly. You don't look at him as a teenager anymore, even though he's had a very short stint as Afghanistan captain. But anyway, more on Rashid Khan later. He is the big threat, though. I think that's where these teams tend to get exposed, Ajit. They play well on the odd occasion against, a team that's higher ranked than them. When you come up against Rashid Khan, you could look a bit silly at times.
Yeah, I mean, he bowled after the 10th over against Pakistan, which is incredible for any spinner, whether he's mystery or not, and he's a proper leg spinner. So, handful of batsmen in his career have gotten hold of him, and that you can literally count the number of batsmen that have managed to get after Rashid Khan. That's how good he's been, and that's why they back themselves to defend totals, because not only does he stop the runs, and but for that Asif Ali's innings, they might have ended up on the right side, of the result against Pakistan at the moment, who's probably the form team along with England in this competition. So, and he had a lot to do with it. To bowl 4 overs in the last 10 tells you how good he is. And Namibia will have to contend with it. I'm sure they know about it. It's not like he's the only bowler, but he's clearly the number one guy, because not only does he stop runs but gets wickets.
Yeah, before I come to Peter on that, this thought of keeping your trump bowler, especially when you're defending a score for the latter half of the innings. I was reading a little bit of stuff on Bumrah as well today, Ajit, and whether Kohli would be better advised to use him in the last 10. If it comes to that sort of situation, use Varun up front. Rashid Khan, use him in the last 10. Are you a fan of that?
Well, they've had Mujib bowling for up front, which has sort of given them that luxury to keep them right, with that, with a target with runs on the board. I think it's a risky play. If you saw the Pakistan chase when you had 140 odd on the board, it almost looked like they'd let Pakistan. They might need an earlier wicket, but I mean, if they could, they'd bowl Rashid Khan 10 overs from one end. So the fact that if you can let that run rate go a little bit higher and you know that he's got 4 overs in that last 10, the opposition also need to perhaps go a little bit harder earlier, maybe change their game plan a little bit. I don't mind it. I don't mind it. Even if he'd held himself back, and I thought he should come on earlier the other day against Pakistan. I thought they needed a wicket earlier. But if he had even held himself back, just maybe they could have snuck one more over in. If you see at the end there, maybe it would have been nice to be bowling the 19th. So it's 6 and 1 and half a dozen the other one with holding back Rashid. You know, you get 4 overs, it's 20% of your bowling, and obviously he's the trump card. So they like to put him under the pump, put him under pressure, and fair enough too because he's the number one bowler in the world.
Ajit, do you like the ploy?
On an occasion it might work. You still want your best bowlers to bowl up front because that is where you want to try and set up the game. I mean, you spoke about Bumrah. Bumrah, for me, has to take the first over for India. Then if you don't bowl him another, that's still okay because it's still a new batsman at the crease. Batsmen want to try and make use of the power play. I know some teams think first over is the best over to or the easiest over to bowl, so they sometimes try and get a slightly lesser bowler or a part timer out, get a over out at that point. If you get wickets up front, you put pressure on teams anyway. So why not bowl? Maybe not obviously with Srikanth not the first over, but if you haven't got early wickets, then there's certainly a case of getting him on earlier because that even if he doesn't get a wicket, bowls a good over, that still piles the pressure on. So on an odd occasion, it might work with what happened the other night against Pakistan. But in general, you want to get your X factors or your strike bowlers or your main bowlers to bowl certainly in the power play, if not at least in the first 7 or 8 overs.
I'm trying to think. Rashid Khan, most top teams and top franchises in T20 cricket, Peter, struggle to practice for Rashid Khan. Now, how would a team like Namibia manage that? If you have three left arm seamers, maybe you could always have the throwdown guy go from the other side of the wicket in practice. Who does Rashid Khan's job in the nets to help you prep for him?
Well, I think David Visa would have been pretty busy in the last couple of days because he played a bit with Rashid for Sussex in the Blast. He probably faced in the nets a few times. He would be the only one probably in that whole Namibian lineup who's faced him before. So he would have been busy with the batters, discussing ways to play him. And of course, they would have been discussing Mujib as well, as luckily for them perhaps that he's not playing. But I think as a batting lineup and somewhere where Scotland got a little bit wrong against Rashid and Mujib in the first game was that you've got to protect your stumps because Rashid obviously he's got a beautiful ripping leg spinner. But if you're a right-handed batter and you play for the wrong and it beats your outside edge, it's not the end of the world. But if you play for the leg spinner and it's the wrong one, then you're out. And that was we saw that from Scotland with Mujib and Rashid, that they attack the stumps. They're looking for LBW and bowled. And if you keep trying to play to the offside, they're going to go through the gate. They're going to hit that front pad, or they're going to get you out bowled. And I think that's it's I'm sure David Beast, who faced a lot of them and played with them, will have been just nailing that with those boys, making sure that they're trying to hit mid on when defending rather than mid off and getting that pad in the way. Because, as I say, if you get your outside edge beaten, it's not the end of the world. It's better than being bowled or LB.
Yep, fair enough. Now, one thing we've not quite seen at Abu Dhabi, Ajit, is those big scores. 170, I think, is what Sri Lanka got against Ireland in the first round. Since then, teams have struggled to figure what that good first inning score is. Afghanistan have these excellent numbers starting off, and we know that because they play the power game. They've got the highest run rate in T20 since 2021 among the Super 12 teams. They're going at 9.1. They're going to go the same way. What's a good score at Abu Dhabi batting first in an afternoon game?
I mean, you'd think a 160, 170 is certainly what they would want to get. If it is a good pitch, we haven't seen a ball bowled yet. But if it is a good pitch, you would still want to get that. I mean, that run rate or strike rate is incredible. And I don't think they'll change their way. They can be a little bit more watchful, see what the pitch is doing. There's some good bowling on offer. The white ball has certainly swung in this T20 World Cup, whether it's in the afternoon or under lights in the evening. So you may want to watch a couple of balls before you tee off, if you like. But I think 160, 170 is something that Afghanistan will be happy with. If they get more than that, they'll certainly feel a lot more comfortable. But anything over 160 they get, and this is we're talking without a ball being bowled. On a normal pitch, on a good pitch, they will fancy their chances because they've got the bowling.
That 160 is a challenge with that, Peter. At times there are many ways to get to 160. This Afghanistan team would probably try and get 150 of those in the first 10, you think?
Well, yeah, that's the way they seem to go. And it's actually in complete contrast to the way that Namibia have gone about their cricket. So if Afghanistan do manage to make 160, 170, it'll be very interesting to see how Namibia go about chasing that. Because they've looked to keep wickets in hand and sort of go at the end. These are very contrasting teams, these two. And I'll tell you, Namibia will be very happy if they could restrict this dangerous batting lineup of Afghanistan to 160. I think that'll still be an incredibly difficult chase for Namibia. But if the wicket is good and the way that the Afghans bat and the talent that they have and the perhaps limited bowling attack that Namibia have, whilst they are disciplined, they're also limited. I think Namibia would bite your hand off for a chase of 160 right now.
All right, interesting. Well, we'll see where these teams stand at half time. Many thanks to Ajit Agarkar and Peter Borren on Maruti Suzuki Presents ESPN Cricket Info T20 Timeout, powered by Dell. And before we leave you, though, some images from these host cities, Abu Dhabi, Dubai, Sharjah, terrific cities. Just get yourself out of a bubble, though. So let's have a look at some visuals. Well, some stunning visuals, of course, powered by Dell. Peter, enjoyed your time in the UAE? Must have played enough of your cricket there and beyond the cricket field too. Good fun?
Yeah, I love the cricket. Wonderful facilities, fantastic cricketing facilities. Can always guarantee that the weather's going to be good. And once you've played there a little bit, you get used to the conditions. I think that's something for Namibia. They've played because they played the first round as well. That will help in terms of the conditions. But it is a great place. It's a wonderful place, the UAE, not just to play cricket, but also to visit.
Yeah, I'm wondering, it's weather being good is subjective, isn't it, Ajit? Peter from Amsterdam with winter setting in likes the weather in the UAE. You and me wouldn't mind going perhaps to slightly cooler climates.
Yeah, I'm looking at places where there's cooler weather at the moment. But I mean, it can get hot at times, but it's still good weather for cricket. The facilities are great, like Peter said, and although I haven't played at the Dubai Stadium, played a lot at Sharjah, lots of internationals there. Abu Dhabi played a couple of games, so great facilities and great venues to have cricket.
Yeah, so far, this is the beauty of having cricket in the UAE. Not a ball that's troubled by rain, right? We might have the odd sandstorm here and there, but not like the 50 over World Cup in the UK a couple of years back. Let's leave it there. Shehzad and Zaza are out there. This should be fun. Thank you very much, Peter Borren and Ajit Agarkar. More from you on Maruti Suzuki Presents ESPN Cricket for T20 Timeout after the Afghan innings.
Maruti Suzuki's People Technology presents Suzuki Connect with Navigate to Car and many other features.
Watch more, feel more, Dell.